Town Hall Academy, Episode 2.
Discipline is, in my mind, a false thing. If you read the book, The One Thing, discipline can only be, maintained for so long, but those habits will take over when discipline starts to break down. But accountability partners is what gets you there.
Welcome, automotive aftermarketers, to a Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to the matching audio podcast of the Town Hall Academy video on resolutions. Carm Capriato here, your host. This academy was first broadcast in January 2017 and was very apropos to be discussed as the year started, but it delivers great wisdom anytime you listen. As you know, in the academy, we take a single topic each week with an industry panel, and we broadcast it live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern on my webinar platform and on Facebook. You can learn all about connecting at this URL, remarkableresults.biz/townhall. Now, see the show notes for this Town Hall Academy at remarkableresults.biz/A002, and there you'll find my guest bios. I understand that not everyone has the time to sit in front of a video screen or be on Facebook, and that's the power of podcasting, the digital audio broadcasts that is so portable and easy to find. Now, every Academy session is on my website learning page or on my YouTube channel, and now you have the additional resource of having the Town Hall in podcast format. And if you have my iOS or Android app, you'll find the Academy episodes there also. Now, I guarantee powerful education in each episode. See, it's your peers who put on this tutoring and share with you their ideas, best practices, and insights into what works for them and where they've had their own success and challenges. Mostly, we're here to spread wisdom and experience. It's like a documentary, but in simple terms, it's a seminar and transfer of knowledge for you. Keep in mind, every guest is offered to present and has the passion for the subject. You now have another powerful resource of educational content inside the Remarkable Results Radio brand. Use it to improve your knowledge base and success, and schedule a lunch and learn with your team. The library of episodes grows each week. My passion is to be the catalyst for the storehouse of wisdom and knowledge that exists in the aftermarket and serve it up for you in this powerful digital audio space. Thanks for being here, and by your support, you keep the wheels churning for both you and me. Now listen to Resolutions 2017 with Barrett, Bill Nalu, and Jerry Kubitsky. Here we go. Resolutions. In preparation, I realized that we shouldn't just talk about the things that we want to do, but we needed to talk about the concept of really implementing and getting it done. And so I started to think about I should read more, travel more, learn something new, because I'm a perpetual student. I got to get better organized, need to save more, spend less, slow down, lose weight. I don't know if any of these things sound familiar to anybody. And those are the things that we just kind of keep rolling and rolling in our head. I guess we're bombarded by, it's a new year and we need to change and we need to improve. And anytime I've ever set out on that stuff, I don't know about you guys, but by the second week of January, they're gone. I don't remember any of them. So I figured if we were going to have a discussion on resolutions, what are the top reasons people don't set goals?
So there are four, I believe, the top reasons. One thing that I just happened to say one day in a meeting was a goal without passion is a chore, but a goal with passion is a calling.
Ah, I love that.
When you try to set goals and you don't have a passion behind it, you're surely going to fail. So the number one reason that people don't set goal is fear. And my mentor, as Zig Ziglar, said that fear is false evidence appearing real, and it's acrostic. So when you fear setting something, and there's a lot of fears, we look at the different fears in life. One is the fear of failure. Basically, if I don't set it, I can't fail.
John Maxwell wrote a great book, Failing Forward.
John Maxwell is the best in leadership, I believe, in the world.
So how do I take a goal or a resolution, which is what I really think you're saying? Let's turn a resolution into a goal. Forget this resolution stuff. Resolutions, it's just a word. It means nothing because people don't do resolutions, but they do goals. So how do you break a goal down into some like bite-sized, manageable, I can do areas.
Yeah, the bite-sized stuff, right? Hurricanes and tornadoes get all the publicity, but termites do more damage than both of them put together, right? So when you sit there and you take a goal, you have to bite-size it down. For instance, I set a goal to be my best, healthiest year ever. So I know that I have to get up every day and do something for 30 minutes to work out and then eat right. So bite-sized. I just start with 30 minutes. The idea is to get up to an hour, and then eating healthy was one of the big things. So I said to myself, self, because I talk to myself a lot. I said, self, what do I struggle with the most? Is it working out or is it something else? And I said something else. So what I did is I wrote down what in my life am I not taking 100% ownership of? And the thing is what I'm putting in my mouth, the food that goes in my mouth, because I've never accidentally eaten anything. And so now I have a little bitty book. I paid $6 for it. It's got a University of Kentucky Wildcats on the front, so I know I use it. And I write down literally everything that I put in my mouth, no matter what it is. So I went to my brother's shop the other day, and he had pizza. And not only do they have pizza, they accidentally brought 2 orders. And I thought, man, I'd love some pizza. But I knew that if I put that pizza in my mouth, that I had to write it down. So that's bite-sized.
Discipline. That's what I continue to think about every time you mention, got to write it down. But how could you refuse a piece of pizza?
Oh, because I had to write it down. I'll give you another reason that I had to refuse that pizza. Joe Hanson's on the line right now. And every week, me and Joe Hanson meet for about an hour that turns into about 2 hours. And so we are going through a book right now, and it's Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. And basically it is you make choices, then you create habits, and then you go get momentum. So not only do I have to write that down, and I know how to write it down, but I got to tell Joe Hanson about it this week. So discipline is, in my mind, a false thing. If you read the book, The One Thing, discipline can only be maintained for so long, but those habits will take over when discipline starts to break down. But accountability partners is what gets you there.
Jerry, how do you keep score of what you actually got done? If we listen to what Barry says and you write them down and have goals, do you love checking things off the box?
Well, that's what I'm terrible at in a lot of respects. And I want to go back to resolution. Resolution is simply agreeing to do something or not do something. We started off in January because that's a fresh start. We always want a fresh start. So that's why we usually do things in January rather than, later on. But in some cases, I would say that you don't need to wait until January. One of the things I did is about 3 years ago, I just started getting to the point where I felt down with the business. I've been here for a long, long time and just, was routine and so on and so forth. And what I ended up doing is mentally thinking, okay, I just purchased a business. It's a turnkey operation. Now what do I need to do to improve it? And I went from there. And I didn't wait until January to do that. It was just a mental thing of saying, let's start fresh. What do I need to do to improve this business? And that helped tremendously. Back to your original question as far as keeping track, what I have is a bulletin board right above my desk right now. And I set up some goals and I have them up there. And yeah, I'm checking off like one of the things that I just completed on. I checked it off. It's sitting in front of me so I can look at those goals and make sure that I take care of them.
These aren't personal goals that are in somewhere emblazoned in the back of your mind. These are public goals. Now, your team knows what they are. Have you asked them, hey, make sure I get this stuff done?
I've done 2 things. One is I brought in Rocky, who's from Beamer and Benz, and he is now my partner in making sure I do something. He's my accountability partner. So just like Barry was saying, he's got an accountability partner. I think that is so important to have someone that will tell you, hey, you're sloughing off, or did you get this stuff done?
I think you've just drilled into something so important here, that accountability partner. I am a huge believer in that. And I don't think, as good as you may be, CEO of GM, somewhere along the line, we're all human. And we always have a tendency to sometimes take the path of least resistance. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't be a superstar 110% of the time. And so you brought in Rocky, and Rocky's going to, did you share with Rocky the things that you want to get accomplished and do?
I emailed him, and then what we're doing is every Monday we're going to Skype together for an hour, and he's going to give me what he wants to do. I'm going to tell him what I want to do, and then what we accomplish during the week. So that's an accountability. And I think, like, how many actors don't have coaches? How many professional athletes don't have coaches? It's what's important, but we don't, as a human being, it's like, we don't want that. We don't want somebody that we're accountable to, and that's the best thing to be successful.
We're driving into an interesting realm, Barry. We're talking about coaches, we're talking about mentors, we're talking about accountability partners. This whole thing may just get this kind of flavor that says, okay, get the resolutions, but get someone to help you with them.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you guys are getting me fired up because this is my favorite subject in the whole world. Every week, I have a list of coaching customers that someone like Jerry would hire me to train their people. So we've got somebody paying someone to really, for me to coach them, and it wasn't their idea. So you got to get them fired up first, because people, if they don't understand why, they don't understand their why, they're not going to do what you ask them to do. And that's another way of me saying, I care about you to know enough about you to get you motivated enough to do what you do. And so every coaching call, I say, listen, you need to answer 3 questions when we get off here. You have to take 10 minutes right after we get off here, and I want to hear the top 3 takeaways that you got from this conversation. Second thing that I want you to do is tell me why they were your 3 top takeaways. And the third thing I want you to do is tell me how you're going to implement these 3 in the next 2 weeks. So you need to email me that, and you need to carbon copy Jerry on it. So Jerry knows what we talked about and what your commitment to yourself was. Not Jerry's commitment, not me, but your commitment to you.
So wait a minute. You're saying that you become the coach, Jerry becomes the accountability partner? Is that what you're saying?
We're all in it together.
So you're really saying what, why, and how has to be, it's almost like creating a plan around a goal and then putting timelines and responsibility pieces in there.
A lot of times we're in an industry and we say, okay, well, if we're going to have an accountability partner, we need somebody that is in the same industry. I don't think that's true. I was thinking of getting my dentist. He was one of the people that I was thinking about, because if you look at it, he's got to bring in customers. He's got to satisfy customers. He does advertising. He does a lot of the stuff that I do. He just doesn't work on cars. He works on teeth. You could get somebody in the service industry. Now, probably I would not want to get somebody that is totally unrelated industry that doesn't deal with customers, they're a government worker or something like that they have nothing to do with what we do. But I don't think an accountability partner necessarily has to be somebody in the same industry. It can be somebody that is in a service industry that would be similar, that can make you, check up on you.
Hello there. Hi, Joe. How are you? This is really cool. You think about this platform. Joe's watching. Barry drops a bomb and says, I work with Joe Hansen every week. And so, Joe, how much do you appreciate what you're doing with Barry to accomplish not resolutions, but corporate company goals?
I love it. It definitely keeps me on track, like Barry was saying, with the pizza. I don't eat pizza, but I got other vices that I have to hold myself accountable to. But it does make me say, you know what, I don't want to do that, because I don't want Barry to, beat me up about it.
And isn't that one of the biggest secrets when you share? I've always told this story about going to bed at night and put your head on the pillow. And if you've not told anyone what you expected to do that day, the only one you're kidding is yourself. And that's why it's so important. It's almost, spouses, partners, subordinates. The minute you share, the dynamic becomes so much bigger and stronger, doesn't it? And Barry, so I have to ask, if I would go to you, say you were my accountability partner, and I says, if I say I'm thinking of, and I was just kind of really looking for a mentor thing going, would you hold me accountable for something I was thinking about?
So I would qualify your goal first. So when you say I'm thinking of, you're really saying I have a goal or a resolution, whatever word you want to use. This is my goal. And to answer your question, one of the people that's online I see here is Zach Hoyt. He's a customer of mine. He's a service advisor of mine that I help, and we work together. I'm calling him. He asked me to call him tomorrow because we're working on health goals together, and so he's thinking of health goals. So every day I have him in a group and I'm in this group, and it's a workout group. So every day we're on Facebook. You can't see it because you're not in the group, right? And we have to post a workout and a healthy meal. Zach's been killing it. So I'm thinking I start to qualify these goals. So I have 5 questions to qualify that goal, and then followed up by 7 questions to qualify after we've qualified with 5.
I'm moved by that. And what you just introduced to me is this technology piece of accountability. Did you ever see what was going on around Facebook where guys were doing, I think, 72 push-ups in honor of some war heroes? It was 22, I'm sorry. Yeah, because I never think I could do 72. So they were doing 20. Did you participate in that?
I've had 3 people do it. I'm a former jarhead, so I had to do it. I didn't post every day because I don't really like doing that. I try to post a positive quote every day, not because I want you to see me as smart, because that's what I'm thinking of that day. That's what I'm struggling with that day, and it's a word that hit me that I can implement. Maybe I can affect other people's lives as well.
I love your daily motivation, by the way. I just want to say it. And you're right, being in a group and having to use Facebook as a level of accountability to show the actions that you're doing. I love the idea. We should maybe do more on that. Jerry, I interrupted you about 3 minutes ago.
What I was thinking of, I was going to tell a quick story of the importance of written goals. Hey, Bill.
Hey, guys.
Oh,
Hey, Bill.
baby.
I got started running late. I blame Steve Jobs for all of it. I'm not responsible for any of it.
Jerry, you hold your thought. Let me do some honors here. Bill Nalu is the president of Interstate Auto Care in Madison Heights, Michigan, has been in business for 30 years. Listen, we did a podcast together. Bill, what was the number of it?
Well, we did, I don't know, it was 39, I think it was, and then we did E-Myth, and I think we did
Yeah, we did a couple. He's one of my favorite guests, but you got to listen to 39. It's an extremely emotional episode. It's one of my faves. Now, he currently spends about 60 hours a week. Oh, man, you are a busy guy. And he works to collaborate with industry professionals in building today's high-tech, old-fashioned customer service systems. And he currently serves on several industry educational advisory councils, including Auto Value Bumper to Bumper, Dorman Industries, and he also hangs out at Cardone Industries and tells them how to, what his expectations are. So thanks for joining us. Never too late to have Bill Nalu on here. Jerry, the second time I've interrupted you, I'm sorry. Back to your thought.
I'm going to piggyback on Barry and, all the stuff that he's writing in that. When I bought this company originally, I set a 5-year plan, and I was very detailed in the 5-year plan. And everything of that 5-year plan came true. The amount of employees I had, the volume I had, so on and so forth. But I remember after the 5 years, I looked at everything, and then I looked at the plan again. I forgot to put profit in there. I had the sales and I had everything else. And so after 5 years, I was making a decent living and everything, but I had no real profit. When we talk about goal setting, we really need to get detailed, like what Barry's saying, to make sure that we cover everything, because otherwise you'll be after 5 years say, oops.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Having worked in the corporate world, and we would sit down and build our 5-year strategic plan, when do you think, of course, everyone was assigned goals and projects and timelines to accomplish their area of specialty or expertise. When do you think we would revisit the 5-year plan, Jerry?
After a year.
Yeah, well, it was really evaluated very heavily after a year, but you sat down in year 3 and created a brand new 5-year plan. And if you think about that leaping that had to happen, things are changing so fast, technology, the speed of business today, that it's just so damn important to never set a 5-year anything on the shelf. I know, and even for my business here. So, Bill, a couple of the pointers that you wanted to make, Bill, was that time is such a valuable element in our university. And, you know, Barry, I think that is one of the biggest things that anyone here can stop and figure out is that I want to do all these great things. How do I fit it into my life? Right, Bill?
It's literally the most expensive commodity in our universe. And when I had sent you back the points that I was trying to make was, why is it not on the periodic charts with all the chemistry that makes up this universe? Why the hell isn't time on there? And yet time is a purely invented concept. I mean, time, we invented time. The calendar wasn't here when we came out of the water and started growing legs and hands, right? We invented time, and yet it's the most valuable, precious resource. And we just, forgive me, but we piss it away. Just amazing what we do, what I do, right? It's incredible how we waste time in the doingness. Where who was it that said you keep doing, and what you end up with is a pile of doo-doo at the end of your life, right? When do you finally get to sit there and just be something? Sometimes today I'm taking the day off. That's one of my New Year's resolutions. I worked 7 days last week, and this week I'm resolved to have Fridays as sort of my play date with my best friend, who's my wife. And so we're going to try to do that. I told her as long as I can have noon to 1 today.
I have to tell you, I thank all the wives that have worked so carefully with my guests and the husbands, because we've had a lot of the women on the show. And a really funny, really quick story. We're getting ready to do the sell your business, prepare your business for sale. And one of the guests is going to be in Mexico at the time. And he just sold his business and he wants to be on and he wants to talk about it. And I said, wait a minute. What a great idea. You're in Mexico having a margarita. You come on, Town Hall Live. Please get permission from your wife first. That's what I asked. Got it? They're so excited to come on and share. So, Bill, your point is so well taken. Where do we find time for ourselves? Barry, in the earlier segment, maybe about 10, 15 minutes ago, you were talking about almost deliberately, if you're going to exercise between 8 and 8:30 or 8 and 9, it had to be on the calendar. If not, you may never, ever get to it. Is that true?
Right. So when we were talking about life, I divide my life up into 7 categories. And I measure myself. It's a wheel of life. And, we're in the car business, which I love. And so when your car, your tire or wheel is out of balance, it creates chaos. And so in these 7 areas of life, I have 7 mentors. I have 7 people that I've reached out and said, I want you, because I would trade places with you in this area of my life, and I want you to help mentor me. Me and Joe, we meet together on our minds. Joe is my mind mentor. So 7 areas. And then what I do is I take and I have 4 goals every week, no more. And then I have a performance planner that I write all of those goals and then all of my activities out to make sure that I'm hitting those 4 goals. And you got to be very intentional about all this. If you look back here, there's a flip board. Every night, me and my wife and my 2 kids sit down at dinner and we write the goals out for each person. When they get, and my daughter's 8. Well, what kind of goals could she have? She wants to be a painter. So we write that goal down and say, what are you doing to achieve that dream? And that's vision casting.
Powerful stuff. Do you talk about the next day that you did or didn't accomplish those goals? Are you talking about daily goals or are you talking about lifelong goals every day that you write
what I do is I pick 4 goals that I have to accomplish this week. I spend 30 minutes on Sunday identifying those 4 things. So if it's health showing up at the top every week. And then every day I've spent 14 minutes, which is 1% of your day, 14 minutes in the morning, planning my day. And then I go about hitting each one of those 4 goals. And then there's 7 parts. Well, some of those parts get a negative. They get no, like my social goal. If I hit a friend goal every day, that means I'm spending entirely too much time with my friends, not enough with my family. They don't all get my attention.
Barry, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I've got a couple. We're about to be empty nesters soon. I've got a son in college, and I've got a daughter who's a senior in high school. And my question to you is, how do you, culturally speaking, our Western culture tells us that you got to do, you got to cram 48 hours of work in 24-hour day, and we celebrate that. And then it should be celebrated to that extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite stories was an accomplished young man who was always at the top of his class, got through college, went to a Tibetan monk to study about the meaning of life. So he knocks on the door and he says, all right, I've got all these things that I've accomplished, and I want to study. I want to figure out, how do I become whole? I've done all these things, but I still don't feel happy yet. And how can I do even more than I'm doing now? And so he sits him down. He says, would you like a cup of tea? And he says, yeah. He says, so tell me about yourself. And so he starts pouring the tea. And this young man begins to say, I was valedictorian of my class, and I was the class president, and the tea keeps pouring. And all of a sudden now the tea starts flowing past the saucer, past the cup and into the saucer. And the young man pauses for a second, and the monk says to him, keep going, please. And so now he says to him, well, I went to college and I got a degree in medicine and I served overseas. And now the tea has poured all over the saucer, all over the table, and all over his lap. And now he says to him, stop. She says, stop. He says, what are you doing? He says, what are you doing, old man? He goes, what am I doing? He says, you've poured tea all over my lap. What are you doing? He says, young man, he says, with all of that you've accomplished, you haven't learned one thing, and that is that your life, this tea cup is your life. He says, you are so full of what you know. Where is there any room for what you don't know? And isn't that a great message for the beginning of this year? And that is that I think perhaps before we start talking about what we want to accomplish, maybe what we want to unaccomplish, all of the things that we need to divest ourselves from, to empty ourselves before we can start filling that cup of tea, right? There's one quote I said here, I looked at today, T.S. Eliot. For last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice.
Yeah. So your question, I love that quote. T.S. Eliot, how can you not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so how are you going to navigate these waters? We failed. My wife and I failed to some extent. We feel like we lose sometimes. We've got kids that are doing because they see parents that are doing.
The beautiful thing that I love, Bill, is here's one thing that I know about you, is your dad came from a very different country that was not like ours. And he had to come over here with no money, because if he had, he'd have gotten in trouble. He wouldn't have made it. Not only would he have made it, but he wouldn't have been alive, right?
Yeah.
So you're an immigrant. Now, are you an immigrant, or is he an immigrant, or is it both?
I am. I'm first generation. I was 11 years old when we came to America.
Okay. Immigrants. I love the story of immigrants. So I try to think like an immigrant, and they really value family. They really value what they have. So, and I think that you fail your way to success. I love that. Yeah. And so to answer your question about your daughter, like, what I love, and Zig Ziglar says is, failure is an event, not a person. Yesterday really did end last night. And I don't believe for a second that you failed her. What I do know is that we're always actively messing up our kids. I'm messing mine up. You're messing yours up. It's because there's, we cannot be all things and do all things. What I do know, that if you'll list your value system in orders of importance, that you will, fail your way in the right way. Okay. So to answer your question is, how do I help my daughter understand what her why is, what her purpose is, and how do we help her achieve that? Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, it's a blanket statement toward what we've been cultured in Western culture, and that is that we place value on what you get done and what you instead of what you already are. What you already are is the raw ingredient for what you want to become.
Okay, so I refer to myself, and I'm gonna write a book. Don't steal this title, Joe Hansen. I'm gonna write a book called Successful Failure.
Yes.
Because and this is what's really awesome. This week, last week, I got a message from the superintendent of the school that I went to, my high school.
He's writing it down.
Okay, I know he is, and so
Joe's writing the book right now.
Yes, well, that's how he is, and so I graduated high school with a strong 1.8. Okay, so now I read 3 books a month. I can't wait. I was in remedial reading when I was in school, all the stuff that you don't want your kid to be, but it was my superpower. And now I found my passion. And he said, you do motivational speaking, right? And I said, absolutely. And he said, how much? Now, I do charge a fee for service, but for him, it's for free because not for the teachers, but for the student that I could help to impact through the teachers to understand that doctors and lawyers all are great. But the number one problem in our society is that we try to make people, and one of my favorite quotes is Albert Einstein, if you try to teach a fish to climb a tree, he'll think it's stupid. And that's huge. So how do you do that? You find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, your purpose will make a way.
By the way, Barry, my purpose is to get my friends in the automotive aftermarket to pay it forward and to bring this platform to everyone in the industry to find their bachelor's degree from the School of Hard Knocks. It is amazing when you think of the power that exists in all the people that we know in the industry. And if you go back 186 episodes as to what I'm doing and you listen to them, there's so many very powerful takeaways that will shape and change and motivate everyone. You don't even have to be in the industry to listen to so many of them. But if you're in the industry and you're tagging on and you're with it, man, the power is there. And as is evident by the incredible discussion here today. I thought last week was good. This customer loyalty thing last week, this one is like off the charts, and I can't believe I can't get out on Facebook Live. It's just bombing out. We're going to have to take this recording and somehow get it out into YouTube and quickly up on Facebook this weekend so that the bigger masses of the world, and until we grow our Huzza audience here, this is so powerful. Thank you all so much. I think the wisdom is incredible. Now, by the way, we have our special guest, Joe Hansen, here. Incredible episode that I did with you, Joe. But, Jerry, I'm going to go back because you never, ever had a chance a half hour ago to finish your thought with us.
Now I don't even remember what the thought was. But I will say one thing. You know, we're entrepreneurs, okay? And I always have the joke that if somebody says, yeah, I'm working 12 hours a day, I say, oh, you're a part-timer.
Because we're so driven, Barry. I mean, you know, that's what everyone is saying is we set out to accomplish things. Barry, I love your disciplines. I love the tracking of what you're doing, you know, your 7 houses. We could listen to you and say, I'm going to do this. But it's so much more harder to implement because, you know, you've got to find those mentors. You know, I love the writing down with your family. These are all, you know, I didn't do any of that. And, you know, I feel inadequate as a parent. And they're out of the house and they're off and on their own and I'm empty nesting. And by the way, Bill, just call me and I'll tell you how cool empty nesting is.
I mean, I'm listening to Barry and I'm going, I don't have time to write all these things down.
You see all that?
I know.
He's a Ziegler guy, and there's so much to learn from Ziegler.
I'm Ziegler certified, legacy certified. It's the best decision I ever made.
So what about the rest of us that aren't as disciplined?
No, I'll tell you about the rest of you. That's why there are certified coaches like Barry out there for people like us to hire or to listen to and improve your world.
So the number one thing, Jerry, and I love that you locked up, what is an Aston Martin at 100 miles an hour? Are you kidding me? Twice?
No, twice, yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Let me just stop for a minute and praise Barry for just a moment here. Obviously, Barry's a fan of the podcast because all the things that he's dropping here today, it's because he's listened.
People who continue to learn will inherit the earth. And I can't remember who said this, but the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. And I love that quote, and I wish I could remember who said it. I cannot. But you're right. But the number one thing, Jerry, is this. If you look at the highest achievers in the world, and Bill said something about Bill Gates, which Joe loves because we go back and forth on this subject. But the biggest, highest achievers, Warren Buffett said this, every yes that I give 99 no's. So, Jerry, stop saying yes.
Well, I think you bring up a great point, and the great point here is the value of the word no, Barry. And so, Bill, it looks like what you did was said no to Fridays. I'm going to put you on the spot, my friend. When are you going to break that?
Here's the answer for you. The way probably most people do. Today's the 13th of the month, right? I read a stat. We all know this. Within the first 2 weeks, 95% of all folks that have set a resolution break it. So tomorrow, 90% of all the folks that signed up for those memberships at the gyms get to break it. And what a sad narrative that is. And then I think part of this is, and we can go into this discussion, is I think a lot of times people affirm the wrong thing. So I want to lose weight, right? You're not affirming the fact that you want to get healthier and gain muscle mass. You're saying I want to lose weight. So because you have this negative, what you're actually identifying with is the fact that you are too heavy and you need to lose weight. So you focus on losing weight, and then you create the back end to how you're going to cheat your way around it, and then people wonder why the diet industry is a disaster. And I think same thing with our professional industry is I'm going to resolve to, I'm no longer going to deal with price shoppers. I'm going to fire price shoppers. Well, the problem is you've built your business on a pricing paradigm that doesn't include features and benefits in it. So one of the resolutions that I've set forth, and you know how passionate I am about this, Carm, is I'm going to start codifying to our consumer, not what we do technically and why we should get paid, but how expensive it is to hire this $49 an hour brake job guy. You saw my post today with the maple wood for brake pads. It's a joke, but it isn't a joke. I have a video that I'm going to put out next week with a brake line that was routed under a fuel tank. That's a repair shop with an invoice with a technician certified on the invoice. That's the amazing thing about it. This wasn't some Mickey Mouse that did this in a driveway. This is a repair shop in our industry that is responsible for something like this. My resolution is for us to continue to integrate very much in the same way that we're doing right now. Ever more integrating, what's the word that you coined? Cooperation.
Co-opetition. No, it's not my word.
I heard it from you first, so I learned it from you. I give you the credit for that. We got to cooperate. Cooperation has to become our thing. How cool is that when we can sit at a table and we might fly different flags, but we can say, here, you know what? You build that mousetrap better than I can because I know that I'm going to learn from you. And that's how we evolve. That's how we've evolved. That's the only way we're going to be able to evolve as an industry.
A great point. Now, Joe, I know you came on about a half hour ago. We asked you a few questions. Joe, you got anything to bring to our panel here?
I mean, on the topic, I would just say that how I've been able to keep my resolutions, if you will, is to just have systems in place to protect myself from myself, learn to say no a lot. And it's not so much what I say yes to, it's what I'm saying no to this year.
Protect yourself from yourself. Woo. Okay, let's go around the room and let's take a final. But before we get a final from everyone, I do have my quote of the week. Listen, don't forget, remarkableresults.biz/townhall. And you could sign up and get into the audience and get a reminder every time we go live. We're doing this every Friday, noon Eastern, the only premier first automotive aftermarket town hall meeting. And if they continue to be as good as these last 2 weeks, we're going to win some kind of Golden Globe, Oscar, Emmy kind of thing. I'm sure of it. My quote of the week, and by the way, it's all because the guests are bringing their passion to the discussion, so I thank you all for that. Quote of the week is from Jim Rohn. In fact, it was Marianne Croce who mentioned something, and I think there was some side chat going on, but here's the quote. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. And we all could use a dose of that. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going, from Jim Rohn. So I'll start with Jerry. We'll go to Bill. We'll go to Joe. We'll go to Barry. Jerry?
I don't have a quote or anything. I love this discussion. It was very good. I don't know if we kept on resolutions completely, but it was a great discussion. I loved hearing everybody. I just want to now hire a service manager full-time so I can listen to these broadcasts and be educated.
Perfect. Let me tell you why I put resolution out. And I think it was just a strategic decision to say resolutions 2017, because we weren't going to talk about losing weight and all that stuff. And then, like you say, it's 2 weeks in. Why are we talking about this? Because I'm never going to do it anyway. We really did go into the depth of where we needed to go, and that is to how to hold ourselves accountable for goals. And it doesn't need to be the beginning of the year. It could be what are your goals going to be in August for the last half of the year.
But I think Barry is right. We need to make sure that we have details of how we're going to accomplish those goals and put them into small pieces. That's what I did. When I talked to Rocky the other day, he says, that doesn't sound exciting, your goals. I said, no, but they're manageable. I can get them taken care of.
Yeah, well, there's another secret about having SMART goals, and that's another whole hour we could talk about. Okay, Bill?
Quick story. Mother Teresa gets on a radio station one day, and the announcer says to her, "Welcome to America. I just want you to be aware of the fact that there's 100,000 people watching us today or listening to our voices today. So let's get this started. Where do we send the money to?" And she looks at him dead in the eyes and she says, the kind of work that I'm doing doesn't require money. And so now he's embarrassed by the shallowness of his question. And he says to her, "Well, okay, surely you can use some food. Where can we ship the food to?" And she says, "The kind of work that I'm doing doesn't require feeding people." And so now he goes to break. Oh, actually, he says to her, "Well, medicine. How about medicine?" And again, the same answer. She says, "The kind of work that I'm doing doesn't require medication." And so now he goes to break, and he's practically on his knees, and he says to her, I get it. It's not about what we do for other people. What can I do? What can I do to be who I need to be?" And she says, "You really want to know what you need? What you could do to help me here?" And he says, "Yeah, anything." And she says, "The next time you walk out of the studio and you're walking down the sidewalk and you find somebody who's living on the street," she says, "it's your job to convince them otherwise." And that is my last resolution for our industry, and that is that we leave no man behind. Some people can't be saved because of the fact that they won't change. We understand that. But when somebody calls us, when somebody calls on us and says, I'm ashamed to say that I need help. And this is men, right? This is us. We don't want help. We don't need help. It says, I think what we need to do is be a good role model. Ask for help and be gracious enough to get help. If you ask for help, then shut up and listen. And if you don't agree with it, then throw it out in the trash. But listen, give somebody a chance to pay it forward or pay it backwards, whichever way that works.
Mm-hmm. I knew I could count on you for a very powerful ending statement. Joe?
Well, I don't have anything that powerful there, like William there. But for me, when you guys were talking about accountability and Bill, how you were saying about being a good example for your daughter and that, and I think to me, I look at what my dad has done, and he just provided an example of how we're supposed to do it, right? He worked a lot and that's fine. It was great for us, and I was able to see that and adjust what I want from that. But more importantly is that I also learned that I don't look to one spot for all my guidance. I have for fitness, I have someone that I look to and stay accountable for fitness, for life coaching and planning. Obviously I talk to Barry, and, so don't be afraid to have different mentors in different areas of our lives in order to stay on track.
Joe, thanks for being a surprise pop-in guest. Great words.
Yes, I want my mic popping here.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? We'll fix that next time. And by the way, we had a great episode together, and it really was a special one. Barry?
Well, I'll try to make it a great one. Coming from what Bill said, Joe said, and Jerry said, one of the things that I love is this idea of diversity. Different people bring different things. My physical mentor, his name is Mike Gardner, and I think he's listening right now. But we couldn't look any different. He's 6'5". I'm not. He's got hair out to here. I don't. He has a nose ring. I don't. I love this guy, but what we're the same is our passion for people and helping people and exciting and getting around those people. But disagreeing is awesome. If you can disagree without being disagreeable and take the other person into account and seek to understand and not be understood first, right? That's a good book too. And so that's what we want to bring, is this diversity and understanding. Like Bill said, Mother Teresa understood the business she was in, business quote, right? And so we're not in the business of automotive. We're in the business of helping people. Mm-hmm. And that's a Howard Schultz quote, Starbucks, that's his why. And we want to make it diversity, help other people understand. You can disagree without being disagreeable, and that type of thing. My favorite quote in the whole world, it's by Zig Ziglar, right, is you are where you are and what you are by what you put into your mind. You can change where you are. You can change what you are by what you put into your mind. So the question is, what are you feeding your mind?
Gentlemen, thank you all so much for being on.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,